When you're building your pre-construction team, it's super valuable nowadays to have a high performance build. And what does that mean? Well, it means having an energy advisor, or in the US, a HERS rater. And knowing those certification and what that means is super important. Joe, can you give us an overview as to what a HERS rater does?
Sure. So a HERS rater is Home Energy Rating Survey System, I believe. HERS raters working with typically Energy Star certified new construction homes. So HERS rater could do the energy modeling to kind of from plans to tell you, what the expected performance of a home is going to be, and then that HERS rater would come out and do various in-process inspections and tests to effectively confirm that you are, in fact, building the house that you plan to build, right? That everything is coming to pass. And that in-process testing is important because, nobody wants to show up at the very end and kind of go, hey guys, you missed your mark. That is unfortunately frustrating, because sometimes builders have an obligation to hit their mark for code compliance, because that's what the client expected, right? So coming up short is sometimes not acceptable. And so catching problems early is key. And having a HERS rater on your team early is key because they can help make sure that you're on point, and not deviating from the goal too early in the process. Um, and then obviously this is for a high performance build. You're going to have HERS rater or some type of energy consultant early on in the process. I mean, looking at your plans before you even start ordering materials and cracking into the earth, you want to make sure that you're reviewing your plans. It's really easy to change, some pixels and bytes. It's really hard to move a concrete wall or, remove drywall to fix leaks or whatever the, issue might be. Oh, we ordered the wrong windows. Oh, well, that's going to change your performance profile. That's going to change your heating and cooling loads. That has a ripple effect, downstream. So having somebody whose only focus is on the overall integrated performance of the house is huge, right? Everybody else has got their, focus, and have somebody, with that overarching performance perspective is great.
Yeah, and Joe in Vancouver in Canada, we call them energy advisors. But what's nice too about an energy advisor is a lot of them now are even being more advanced, where they're a passive house consultant. And so typically, in Canada, we got to do a Hot 2000 model, and that's a good model. But when you get into either a Woofy or a PHPP, a passive house planning package, level of software where we can start to dive into some questions and be like, okay, well, can we look at the cost? What is the cost of 2 inches of extra insulation? What's the value to the model? What if we looked at the window, but I've got two really good prices from manufacturers. One says this, one says this. And the energy advisor says, well, this one's providing you with a better rating and it can affect your model by so and so. So, being able to have a conversation with someone that can use the data, our values, the information from a supplier manufacturer to then verify that we'll be able to hit our targets. I don't have time to kind of get into those weeds. I got to be project managing or ensuring we're hitting air tightness, but having that person that is that, specialist to be able to assist us in achieving our goals is great. And I'm glad that, we have this kind of enforcement here by ensuring we have to hit codes and that we have to have that energy advisor come to site and help out with our blower door test and give us, third party verification to the inspectors that we're hitting our targets. And so, yeah, adding on a new person to our team is super value added, and the knowledge that they bring. Because again, we get focused in the weeds sometimes of how we build, how we do things. They see potentially 100 homes or 100 buildings, and they could say, "Oh, I've seen this builder do this detail. Maybe you should try it out here." Oh,
Huge value.
on our blower door, here's the leak, and you're like, "Oh, how are we going to fix it?" Like, "Oh, well, just order that piece from that supplier and just slap it on, and that'll take care of your issue." That extra value and knowledge that can be brought to the team is just invaluable.
Yeah, the energy advisors around here, whether the HERS raters or, I say when I grow up, I want to be a passive house consultant. Right now, I'm just a HERS rater, um, which is still better than code build.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
um, it's again valuable to have somebody that is, like you were saying, seeing a lot of different homes. I've had some new home builders, so basically homeowners building their own homes. They want to build to a certain performance level, and they're saying their architect says I have to use spray foam on all my exterior walls because that's the only way to meet code now. And there are, I don't know, 4 or 5 different recipes, if you will, of wall assembly that will match code, and only one of them really requires closed cell spray foam on all the walls, and if because of the expense or because of concerns about the material or for whatever reason, you don't want to do spray foam, can't afford to do spray foam, there are other wall assemblies that'll do that. Now, maybe the architect's not familiar with them, right? That fair enough, man. I mean, there's plenty of people who just don't know about stuff. So talk to somebody who might know a little bit more, that's had more experience, that's worked with more builders, that's seen more different wall assemblies, right? And Jude, I don't even have to see them. I could just talk to you guys and learn about them, go to conferences and see presentations about them, and then bring that as a value to the folks we consult with and go, hey, how about instead of a 2x6 stud wall, we just use 2x6 for the plates, and then we use 2x4 studs offset, to give us a continuous insulation, right? And we can see that it's only a few steps off of what their traditional framing, practices are, right? I like to find out what people are used to, because more often than not, we can come up with a solution, or we've seen a solution that is only 1 or 2 steps different from what they're already doing. And it's just an easier transition for folks, but you're not going to get that, just talking to the guys that you always work with, because they're only going to know what they've seen. So you need to, kind of say, I need to bring in the knowledge of other people that have seen more things to be able to, find me solutions that are going to, be easily integrated, into what we're doing.
Yeah, Joe, in Vancouver, one additional thing that energy advisor is improving upon is we're also looking at the materials we're putting in. So looking at our upfront carbon calculations. And so that's another value that our local energy advisors are now looking at, is being able to calculate the materials and the carbon footprint of it all. And so not only do they bring the aspect of being there to support our blower door tests, now being able to advise us on the calculations to look at our heating and cooling loads and how to manage, overall energy model. And now the third part is looking at our upfront carbon calculation. So their role is expanding, as you said too, is, you're busy doing getting people on board, looking at retrofits existing buildings. So, your scope of work is very defined and and very demanding. And it's great that there's other options for that particular market of specialists to grow and expand and help out our industry, which is pretty exciting.
As far as looking for energy raters, so for anybody out there that's looking for somebody, go to the Energy Star website. There's a find a rater near me, resources out there. Most states are going to have some type of look up for folks that are energy advisors, duct and envelope tightness verifiers, which is, kind of the minimum performance testing in the Illinois is, test your building for leakage, test your ducts for leakage, right? So there's duct and envelope tightness verifiers. There are BPI has a certification, infiltration and duct leakage, so the IDL certifications. Again, it varies state by state in a lot of cases, but HERS raters are nationwide. And so if you want an advisor to look at plans from the start, before you've even cracked into the ground, go to energystar.gov and look for a HERS rater there, and get somebody experienced on the planning team, that can from the start. I mean, Sean's talking about spec and materials. And you're not doing that, when concrete's being poured, you're doing that stuff well before we've broken into the ground, right? All that has a lead time. All that stuff's got to be thought out and planned and ordered well before, we're breaking earth. So yeah, build that team. Find those educated and skilled individuals, early on, and make sure your plan is solid before you start, implementing, before you start breaking into the ground.
I love it. And I think you're bringing up so many points. Again, it comes back to the design team. And Joe made up a really valuable point. Not all architects are looking to build with high performance, but you as the individual, you can so choose that. And Google is your best friend, right? Being able to use your resources and look up things and having the discussion. It all starts with the discussion in order to build a great house and in order to have a house that's working well for you and not leaky and not cold. And there's so many benefits, and you can even look up high performance build, and I bet you'd find a good resource there as well. So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Sean, for being here. And that's the dirt on Offsite Dirt.